Good morning, students of class 10. Welcome back to the online classes now. We are doing the age of industrialization and 1.1, the coming up of industry, factory. The coming up of factory, or you can say industry. So in our previous classes we have talked about proto-industrialization. All the manufacturing of goods were done in the countryside and only the finishing was done in the London. And for that various merchants, they used to go to the villages, provide loans, raw materials, and the production process was carried on by family members to supplement their income from small plot of lands. They had very little income, and sees from production of goods, the process of production of goods added their income. So we have talked about, and we have talked about guilds also. They were the powerful merchants of the cities who did not allow the newcomers to start the trade or business in the cities. So now coming up of factory. So it did not happen immediately. It was a slow process, but continuously it proceeded further. More and more industries were set up. There are 4 phases now, we'll talk about there later on. So now here what happened, and in our previous class also we have talked about Richard Arkwright. He made the first mill. He created the first mill, and after that slowly the others also followed the same thing, and they purchased costly machines. Since Richard Arkwright created the mill, cotton mill, it was very costly to manufacture these machines. But still the people, those who have got a lot of money, they purchased these machines, various processing machines, and set up in the mill. Now here, within the mill now, inside the mill, a big compound, all the process of spinning, weaving, coloring, dyeing, packaging were brought under one roof. In our previous class we have talked up to here. The process of production was brought under one roof in the mill, under one roof and management. Now after that, what is the advantage of this? This allowed a more careful supervision. Yes, the process can be watched carefully. The process of production, careful supervision over the production process, watch over the quality and the regulation of the laborers, whether the laborers are doing the proper work, whether they are wasting their time or just working hard in the production process, watching over the qualities as well as all kind of management was done under one. This was very difficult in the previous time when the production process was done in the countryside. To watch over production, over the quality and the management, everything became very difficult because various places, the production was done at various places. It was very difficult for the merchants to go and watch every time. They can't sit whole day there. But here everything was under one roof and it had a lot of advantages. So now here, number 3, all of these had been difficult to do when production was in the countryside. As I have told you, when the production was in the countryside, this was very difficult to watch over production process, over quality, over regulation of laborers and supervision. This was quite difficult to do in the countryside or during proto-industrialization. This period was called proto-industrialization, and it was difficult to watch over the production process. Now here, number 4, in the early 19th century, factories increasingly became an intimate part of the English landscape. One after another, factories were set up. The English landscape, the villages or the countryside was dotted with factories, and the factory used steam engine, and there was smoke. You could see a lot of chimneys all over the landscape and emitting smoke and polluting the atmosphere. It became black. The sky remained dark with smoke, because so many industries were set up there, especially the cotton textile industries. In the beginning it was cotton textile industry, and later on they needed the machines and they started manufacturing steel machine parts. Steel industry came up later on. First, cotton textile industries. So in the early 19th century, factories increasingly became an intimate part of the English landscape. But production still continued in workshops and by lanes. Production was still going on in the countryside, still, because all of the industrialists were not rich. Some of them were quite moderate and some of them were quite poor, so they could not invest in industries. So the production was still going on in the villages or in the countryside and in the streets and in workshops. Production was still going on, even though the landscape was dotted with industries. Production was done mostly in the countryside as well. It had not stopped. Now this was the first part, 1.1. Now 1.2 we'll continue in our next class, but let's see what is written over here. The pace. Pace means the speed. The pace of industrial change. How fast did it change? It was not quick. It took some time. Until then, production was done in the countryside. The pace, the speed of industrial change. How rapid means quickly. How rapid the process of industrialization? How rapidly it was industrialized? There is a question. Does industrialization mean only the growth of factory industries? Does industrialization means only the growth of industries? Or what else? We'll come to know everything in our next class, slowly. The process, this process of industrialization or pace of industrialization, the process has 4 phases. It has 4 phases. The pace took 4 stages. What were those 4 phases? We'll learn in our next class. So here only I have given you certain 2 questions. How rapid the process of industrialization, how long it took to industrialize, or does industrialization, the pace of industrialization means only the growth of factories, or what else? Did it help the peasants, poor peasants? What was its consequences, result? I have now told you the pollution level increased, the health of the workers, they suffered, their health went down. Not only that, the industrialists were earning a lot of money, profit, but what about the workers? Was there any improvement in their lives or in the living standard? A lot of things had happened. So we'll talk about the first, we'll talk about the 4 phases. The process of industrialization has got 4 phases. We'll talk about 4 phases and we'll talk about the other workers and the environment and other things we'll talk about. So that's all for today. In our next class we'll meet and talk about the 4 phases. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, use your time wisely, continue studying at home, go through the online portal so that it will become easy for you to understand everything clearly. So that's all for today. Thank you very much.